Okay. Hello. I'm gonna be talking about Rec versus Quarantine. So everyone's saying, well, most of the people are saying Rec is a better movie than Quarantine, and then there's people saying Rec is way better than Quarantine. Let me get this straight. I honestly love both movies equally. They're both great in their own way. They're both kind of like the same exact movie. I understand Rec is the original, but why hate on Quarantine? I like things in Quarantine better than Rec, like how the government made me feel like they were kind of more involved. Like, they really did not want you out there. And I felt like the people were trying to escape more than in Rec. I don't want to spoil anything, but you've probably seen it. So, like, the guy, like the dance teacher or something, like he tries to escape and they shoot him. Like in Rec, nothing like that ever happened. I like that. I like how the people really wanted to get out, and I liked how Quarantine was a little bit longer, because I like the fact that the zombies were kind of like more involved in Quarantine, like how remember when like all everyone was kind of just like a zombie instead of like the cameraman, the main girl Angela, and the fireman. Like I liked how it was kind of like longer, and they in the like you saw more of the zombies, other than them just standing there and talking about, oh, we got to do this, because there were definitely zombies. Like there were more running away, really trying to survive from the zombies in Quarantine than in Wreck. I'm not trying to say Wreck is a bad movie, because honestly, I love that movie too. Uh, People are trying to say like the girl in Wreck is hotter than the other one in Quarantine, and I do have to say the one is a little better looking, but it doesn't really matter. Does it honestly really matter? And I don't understand why like people are acting like the girl in Quarantine is so annoying with the screaming. Uh, the one in Wreck, the girl in Wreck was really annoying too, but she was more crying and whiny, and that was really annoying too. I mean, I understand why she's screaming. It really didn't annoy me. Like, you're gonna scream in a moment like that. If a girl does not like rats, because in Wreck there were no rats. In Quarantine there were rats. She's going to scream. There was no possible way really for the girl in Wreck to scream other than in Quarantine. So you really can't complain about that. And they were pretty much the same, except really the plot. Wreck, it was more like a demonic virus, like a mutated chemical with the demonic twist in it, something like that. It involved like Jesus and things like that, and this little girl like being possessed. And where in Quarantine, it was kind of like a mutated rabies virus that went through humans, but it also went through animals, and it happened really fast, other than in months. And I like both plots either way. I love when they involve demonic things. I love when they involve that, but I also love things that are more zombie-like. They, I just, I like them both. I don't understand how Quarantine is so much worse than Wreck. They were like almost exactly the same movies. I really don't understand. They did the same thing. They were at a fire. They were on a talk show. They went to the fire station, and basically it was scene from scene. And then there's people saying they don't like the movie because they wanted Hollywood to make like a remake they usually do, like a remake that's not scene from scene, like kind of like the same, but scenes are really different. That means you would have liked the movie a whole lot worse. So they're basically not making any sense, and I really don't. I really like both the movies. I mean, the names are different, yeah, but they were basically alike. There was definitely a lot more American humor in Quarantine, but especially because they were in America. I mean, come on. And really, that's really it. And then also people are complaining how the camera is more shaky in quarantine than in rec. Honestly, they were both shaky. They were both really shaky. Not really shaky, but they they weren't really like any different. They were both shaky, and they were both shaky. Like they were both shaky. None of them were more shaky than the other. But I'm not trying to say I like quarantine a lot more than rec. I don't. There's just a few things I like more in quarantine than rec. Like in rec, I like how the place is a lot bigger. I like how the place where they make all that, like all that like the clothing thing. I like how that place is bigger and lighter, and the movie is a little bit lighter than Quarantine, because Quarantine is a very dark movie. But I like Quarantine because, like I said before, the zombies are more involved, and not just because that one towards the end, but also how like the zombies were definitely more involved. Like they came quick. Like Fletcher in the quarantine, Fletcher and that police officer, they both like took out the vet. Like the CDC guy came out, and like everything just happened. Like after that, everything just happened, and like how that girl that was in the room with that TV where it was all staticky, she was in there. They killed her with the camera, and I honestly think I think that some of the acting in some scenes were better than Rec, but definitely some scenes in Rec were better than Quarantine. Like in Quarantine, the scenes were definitely like this one scene. There was this one scene that was a lot better than Rec, and it was the scene when they were looking in at when the CDC guys came in, and like first Rec, like the health inspector, when they came in and they took like they were trying to see like what was wrong with them or something, and they wouldn't let them film it. I liked it better when like the cameraman in Quarantine was kind of telling Angela what was happening, other than Angela in Rec kind of just like, tell me what happened, tell me what happened. That kind of annoyed me, and I like how in Quarantine he was telling her so she wouldn't have to complain. And in Rec, I like I like the acting better in Rec at the end than in Quarantine, because I think they handle it I think they handle it better than they did in Quarantine. But in Quarantine, I like how they like how like the little kid up in the attic was definitely scarier. And another thing, in Quarantine, how the screams in Quarantine, I like the screams in Quarantine a lot better than Rec, because for some apparent reason, I don't know why, but Rec, the screams kind of annoyed me a little bit. I like how in Quarantine they were a lot creepier. To me, they were a lot more creepier than Quarantine. They were getting a little creepier in Quarantine. They're getting a little annoying in Rec. And I like how in Quarantine they ran a little bit more faster than in Rec, so it made it a lot harder and even more scarier to get away from them. Overall, they were both great movies. It's just that I just don't understand why everyone's saying Rec is a whole lot better. Because honestly, Quarantine is an awesome, great movie too. I really don't understand.